Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where your phone never stops buzzing, your job changes every year, and your mind never gets a break, it's no wonder America is facing a mental health crisis. But here's the truth. You're not broken. You're burned out. You're not weak. You're wired to survive. And this 8-hour journey is your invitation to take your power back. Whether you're battling anxiety, carrying invisible stress, or just trying to hold it together in a world that feels too heavy, this is for you. We'll explore what mental strength really means, how to build resilience that lasts, and how to rise no matter how many times life knocks you down. This isn't therapy. This is a transformation. Welcome to the comeback of your inner strength. Notification zoning and phone-free hours, low stimulation mornings to protect brain chemistry, social media audits, choosing who gets access to your headspace, creating a mental clarity corner in your home or office. We also explore the emotional side of tech, why we feel guilty for not responding, why we fear missing out, and why we keep chasing likes and followers even when it drains us. At the end of this segment, the goal isn't to make you hate technology. It's to remind you that you're the user, not the product. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to unplug. You're allowed to reclaim your attention, because that's how you reclaim your peace. Mental resilience in the modern world isn't just about what you handle, it's about what you block out. Protect your peace like it's your paycheck, because in this economy of attention, your focus is your future. Healing the invisible wounds, trauma, grief, and emotional suppression. Some pain doesn't leave a mark on your body. It doesn't show up on scans. It doesn't come with a cast or a crutch. But it lingers in your chest, in your relationships, in your reactions. These are the invisible wounds so many people carry. Trauma, grief, shame, rejection, and emotional scars buried so deep they feel like part of your identity. And yet, in America, we're taught to move on. Be strong. Tough it out. Smile for the photo. Push it down and keep producing. But unprocessed pain doesn't disappear. It hides. It leaks. It sabotages your confidence, your sleep, your motivation, and sometimes even your health. In this hour, we talk about what people often avoid, how the past still lives in your body, in your nervous system, even if your mind has tried to forget. Whether it's childhood trauma, a broken relationship, a parent who left, a friend who passed, or a moment that made you feel worthless. This part of the journey is about giving yourself permission to feel it, so you can finally heal it. We explore how grief isn't just about death. It's about identity loss, missed milestones, invisible disappointment. And trauma isn't just what happened, it's what you carried alone. You'll discover healing tools backed by neuroscience and used by thousands across the U.S. Somatic therapy, how trauma lives in the body, and how movement, breath, and sound can help release it. Grief journaling and expressive writing, writing what you couldn't say out loud. Tapping, EFT, calming the emotional brain through acupressure. Safe touch, stillness, and co-regulation, retraining your body to feel secure again. Art, prayer, or even screaming into a pillow, anything that helps you get the stuck energy out. This is where emotional resilience goes deep. Because the most powerful healing doesn't happen when you say, I'm fine. It happens when you finally say, I'm not okay, but I want it to be. There is no shame in pain. There is only shame in pretending you don't deserve healing. You may not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for what you do with it now. And healing is your birthright. Not a luxury, not a weakness, a right. You're not broken. You're carrying a wound, and it's time to breathe it out, feel it through, and set it free. The Rise Ritual, daily habits to stay strong when life gets hard. Resilience isn't built in big moments. It's built in daily decisions, the ones no one sees. The way you wake up, the way you talk to yourself, the way you come back after a hard day. Mental health isn't just about therapy or breakdowns. It's about the small rituals that shape your emotional energy before the world even has a chance to steal it. In this hour, we focus on how to create a daily structure that supports emotional strength, especially in unpredictable times. Because let's be honest, the world isn't slowing down, but you can slow down within it. The goal here isn't to do more. The goal is to anchor yourself with rhythm, intention, and recovery. We break down what a powerful Rise ritual looks like, something you can do every day, even in 5 or 10 minutes, to signal to your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm clear, I'm grounded. The I'm grounded and said, these are practices that military veterans, single parents, Olympic athletes, and trauma survivors use to stay mentally focused. And the sign with. You'll learn how to build habits that start your day with clarity, before your phone, before the chaos. Activate gratitude and purpose through short writing exercises. Regulate your mood through micro movements and breathing. Limit your emotional exposure to negativity before 10 a.m. Stack habits like journaling, movement, stillness, and hydration for maximum energy and calm. We also explore evening rituals, how to transition from overstimulated to calm, how to create boundaries between work and rest, and how to fall asleep without your brain spiraling in overdrive. You'll hear real-life examples. A Texas nurse who begins her day in silence and writes 3 I'm proud of. A high school principal in Boston who takes a walk every night after dinner with no phone. A father in Phoenix who ends his workday by deleting all non-essential emails, declaring mental closure. These are not luxury routines. These are survival systems, mental hygiene for a world that will otherwise drain you dry. Because the most successful people aren't the most gifted. They're the most consistent. They know how to return to center. And if you can own your morning, you can own your mind. Your comeback story, turning pain into power. Everyone loves a comeback story, but the one that matters most is your own. Not the highlight reel, not the polished version. The real story, the one where you got knocked down, stayed there longer than you wanted to, and still found the strength to get back up. This hour is about integration. It's about taking everything you've learned about mental health, emotional resilience, healing, and daily rituals, and using it to craft the next chapter of your life with purpose. No more surviving in silence. No more performing strength while feeling empty inside. It's time to own your pain and use it as fuel. You'll reflect on the experiences that shaped you, not to shame yourself, but to reclaim your power from them. Because your scars don't make you weak, they make you real. You'll hear examples of people across the country who used rock bottom as the foundation for rebirth. A recovering addict who now mentors teens. A divorced mother who launched a business at 45. A combat veteran who became a motivational speaker after healing from PTSD. They didn't wait until life was perfect. They got moving while it was still messy. We'll also introduce tools to help you articulate your personal mission. Legacy letters, writing your future self's story, meaning mapping, connecting pain points to growth outcomes. Voice journaling, saying your truth out loud, with emotion. Empowerment reframing, identifying what your past prepared you for, not what it stole. This final hour of the original core speech reminds you that the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more authentic, resilient leaders who show what it looks like to rise from hard things with love, grit, and grace. You're not just healing, you're becoming. And your story is already helping someone else survive theirs. Even if you don't know it yet, then boundaries are not selfish. They're survival. One of the most powerful tools for protecting your mental health isn't a pill, a journal, or even a meditation app. It's a sentence. Left, double quotation mark. In this hour, we break down one of the most misunderstood forms of self-care in America. Boundaries. Too many people are burnt out, anxious, and resentful. Not because they're weak, but because they've spent years saying yes when they should have said no. Yes to overtime. Yes to toxic friendships. Yes to guilt-driven obligations. Yes to always being available, even when your soul is begging for rest. This part of the speech reframes boundaries, not as barriers, but as bridges. Bridges to peace, to freedom, to self-respect. You'll learn how to identify the invisible ways your energy is being drained. Through people-pleasing, over-explaining, over-committing, and tolerating emotional manipulation. We'll walk through real strategies used by therapists, coaches, and high performers to implement strong, healthy limits. The 3-sentence boundary rule: clear, kind, and firm. How to use silence and distance without guilt. When to renegotiate relationships that no longer align with your growth. How to set phone boundaries, emotional boundaries, and stick to them. The mindset shift from "they'll be mad at me" to "I choose me." You'll hear the stories of everyday people who transform their lives by protecting their peace. A woman who stopped answering toxic family calls during her recovery. Yeah. A teacher who reclaimed her weekends from burnout by disconnecting email after 5 p.m. A man who ended a decades-long friendship that was emotionally abusive. Finally realizing that loyalty shouldn't cost you your mental health. Wow. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're hard. It means you're whole. You don't owe anyone access to your time, your energy, or your emotional availability, unless it aligns with your values. Because you can't heal in a place that keeps breaking you. And you can't grow if you're always giving from an empty tank. Say it with me. Boundaries are strength. Loneliness versus connection. Rebuilding the human bond in a disconnected world. In a world more digitally connected than ever, Americans are reporting record levels of loneliness. Not just being alone, but feeling unseen, unheard, and uncared for. It's the silent epidemic no one posts about. Sitting in a room full of people, laughing at jokes, nodding in meetings, and still feeling alone inside. This hour goes deep into the emotional impact of disconnection. AI. Whether you're a college student away from home, a retiree adjusting to an empty house, a parent feeling isolated in your own family, or just a person silently screaming behind a smile, this moment is for you. AI. Facts track, bro. We start by unpacking the science of loneliness. Studies show it affects your brain the same way chronic pain does. It raises stress hormones, weakens your immune system, and increases the risk of depression and even early death. But this isn't just a crisis of the mind. It's a crisis of the soul. You'll explore why we've confused connection with contact, the emotional toll of shallow conversations and filtered lives, the rise of surface friendships, and the hunger for depth, why scrolling and consuming leave us emptier, not fuller. And most importantly, you'll learn how to build real connection in a noisy world, how to initiate deeper conversations even when it feels awkward, how to show up with presence instead of perfection, the 2-second courage rule for reaching out to someone before you talk yourself out of it, creating community through vulnerability, whether at work, church, online, or in small circles, how to find your people by being radically yourself first. You'll also hear powerful stories of reconnection. A widowed veteran who joined a men's mental health circle and found purpose again. A young woman who started a coffee meetup in her city and ended up creating a movement. The world has changed at the Southern Sundays 2014. A teenager who found a voice and true friendship through poetry nights in an open mic cafe. Loneliness lies too. It tells you no one cares. But the truth is, so many people are waiting for someone to go first. Someone to say, "Hey, I see you. But I get it. Let's talk." You don't have to be popular to be connected. You just have to be real. Because real will always find real. Self-love isn't a luxury. It's the foundation. Let's finish with what might be the hardest truth to accept and the most important one to live. You will never feel whole if you're at war with yourself. In a culture that pushes performance over peace and perfection over presence, self-love is often mistaken for vanity or weakness. But here's the reality. You cannot build resilience without self-respect, and you cannot protect your mental health if you believe you're unworthy of it. This hour is about coming home to yourself, learning how to stop apologizing for who you are and start showing up as who you were always meant to be. We talk about the core wounds that keep so many people in self-rejection. The belief that you're only lovable when you're achieving, that your worth depends on your productivity, that your body, personality, past, or struggles make you too much or not enough. We dismantle those lies and replace them with truth. You'll explore how to build identity-based self-worth that doesn't collapse under failure, how to practice self-forgiveness and let go of shame that no longer belongs to you, the difference between self-care and self-love, and why you need both, how to honor your needs without guilt and speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for. You'll also learn soul-based rituals that have helped millions reclaim their self-love, mirror work, speaking affirmations into your own reflection. Younger you, letters to the child, still waiting to feel safe, reparenting practices for self-soothing and emotional regulation, affirmation, anchoring, building a mental safe house for the days when life feels heavy. You'll hear the story of a man who, after 2 divorces and a mental health crisis, learned to love himself for the first time at 52, of a young woman who stopped measuring her value by likes and found joy in simply being, of a therapist who realized healing others meant finally facing her own reflection. Because here's what no one tells you. When you start truly loving yourself, everything changes. Your relationships shift. Your voice strengthens. Your boundaries hold. Your anxiety shrinks. Your power returns. Why? Because you finally decided that you are enough. Self-love isn't a final destination. It's a daily decision. A commitment to treat yourself like someone who deserves protection, compassion, and peace. You've made it through 11 hours of this journey. You've faced the hard truths, opened up the locked doors, breathed through the pain, and chosen growth over comfort. That's not weakness. That's warrior energy. Now, go love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. If this message reached you through all 11 hours, I want you to know you are not alone anymore. You have the tools, you have the story, and most of all, you have the strength. But don't stop here. Share this video with someone who needs to hear what you just did. Someone who's silently struggling. Someone who needs to be reminded that their story isn't over. Drop a comment below with one lesson you're carrying forward, one boundary you're setting, one part of your story you're ready to own. And if this moved you, subscribe. Because this space is for people who don't want fake motivation. This is for the real ones, the fighters, the rebuilders, the ones learning to rise again. Liking, there's more coming. Deeper stories, healing tools, mental strength strategies, all to help you protect your peace and step into the next chapter of your life. Remember this: you are worthy. You are needed. You are not alone. Your comeback story starts now. I'm proud of you. Let's rise.